Welcome back, Deep Divers. Today, we're diving headfirst into a world where art and AI collide, and we're going to do it through a single real contract.
We're talking AI-generated art and the big question of copyright protection.
Yeah, buckle up, because this is where things get kind of wild. It's like who owns what when an algorithm is part of the creative process.
Right. It really throws a wrench in our traditional ideas of ownership.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're going to untangle today with this agreement between an artist and a company that specializes in protecting those digital files.
They use this thing called matrix code. It's almost like a digital fingerprint for creative work.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But first, let's set the stage.
So picture this. We've got this artist, Matthew McMahon, who used an AI platform called Deep AI to create a seriously cool image.
Oh, and the description alone, let me tell you, it's pure imagination fuel.
It's called the mythical tiger.
The mythical tiger, I love it. Okay, tell me more about this image. What did he create?
So his text prompt described a tiger, but not just any tiger. This one has glowing silver-striped fur.
Ooh, I'm already hooked.
And get this, the fur shimmers under the moonlight.
Okay, that's pretty magical. Anything else?
Oh yeah, the tiger's eyes, they're this otherworldly shade of deep violet.
Oh wow, deep violet eyes, that's intense. What else? What else is in this image?
He even added rune-like patterns etched into the fur, glowing with an ethereal light.
So I've got glowing stripes, violet eyes, runes, and where is this tiger?
He placed the tiger in a bioluminescent forest.
A bioluminescent forest. All right, Matthew went all out with this one.
He did. You can really see how much thought and detail went into crafting that text prompt.
Absolutely. So he clearly had this very specific vision in mind. But if AI helped bring it to life, where does that leave him in terms of ownership?
Okay, well, that's where this company, MCC, comes in, Matrix Code Corporation. They've got this innovative system for protecting digital creations, and that's what makes this contract so interesting.
So break it down for me. What is this matrix code all about? Is it some crazy complex algorithm or something?
Well, it's more straightforward than you might think. Think of it like a unique identifier attached to a digital file, almost like a digital fingerprint, but way more sophisticated than that.
Like a superpowered barcode.
Exactly. And this code basically becomes a record of where the file came from and who owns it. That way you can protect against people stealing it or making fake copies.
Okay, so it's like a digital certificate of authenticity for artwork.
Yeah.
This came from Matthew, and here's a proof. Pretty clever in a world where you can copy a digital file with a click.
Right. And what I find really interesting is how this contract actually acknowledges that human-AI collaboration is a thing. It's not just ignoring the elephant in the room.
Yeah, it's like, hey, we know AI is part of the creative process now, so let's figure out how this whole ownership thing works.
Exactly. And that acknowledgement is a big deal because it sets a precedent for how we might deal with these issues in the future.
So this contract is kind of a trailblazer in a way.
It really is. It's like a glimpse into how the art world might adapt to this whole AI art thing.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of this contract. What are the key points we need to understand?
All right, well, let's start with the big one, ownership. The contract states that Matthew retains full ownership rights to his tiger image.
Okay, so that's a win for the artist. He still has control over his creation.
Absolutely. He can sell it, make prints, even license it for commercial use. It's all his.
That makes sense. So what role does NCC play then? If they don't own the image, what are they doing?
Well, think of them as a protector. They're the ones registering the image with their matrix code. It's like a stamp of authenticity, basically saying, hey, this is the real deal, don't even try to mess with it. And this protection lasts for a whopping 65 years.
65 years, wow. That's longer than most careers. What happens after that? Does MCC take over?
Well, that's where things get a little more complicated.
Ah.
Matthew has the option to re-register the image after those 65 years for continued protection.
Okay, makes sense.
But if he chooses not to re-register, well, that's when MCC gains the rights to manage and distribute the image.
Hold on, so they could potentially profit from Matthew's work down the line.
It's a possibility, yes. And that raises some interesting questions about the long-term implications of these agreements. Like, is 65 years a fair term? What happens if an artist's heirs want to keep control of the work? Lots to think about there.
It definitely brings up some ethical considerations. It's not just about technology, it's about how we value and protect creativity in the long run.
Exactly. But let's get back to the practical side for a moment. Matthew pays a $65 fee for MCC's services.
$65 for 65 years of protection, huh?
Kind of poetic, right?
It is. Some might argue that's a small price to pay for peace of mind in a world where digital content is so easily copied. but others might say it's a gamble, given the whole uncertainty around AI art ownership.
It's a valid point, and I'm sure as the market for AI-generated art grows, we'll see different pricing models pop up.
Makes sense. Now, there's another detail in the contract that caught my eye. Matthew has to disclose all the AI tools and prompts he used to create the image.
Ah, yes. Transparency is key here. It's not enough to just say, hey, I made this with AI.
So it's about more than just acknowledging that AI was involved. You got to give specifics.
Right. It's like citing your sources in a research paper. But for art, you're creating a record of the creative process. This helps verify the artwork's authenticity and allows others to see how it came to be.
So you're giving credit where credit is due, both to yourself and to the AI tools that were part of the process.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging the collaborative nature of AI art. And I think it's a crucial step towards building trust and transparency in this new creative landscape.
This contract really is like a sneak peek into the future of art, isn't it? It's fascinating to see how the legal and creative worlds are adapting to these new challenges in real time.
It is, isn't it? And Matthew's Tiger, this case study we're diving into, is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore.
Well then, let's keep diving. This deep dive is about to take us beyond just this one contract, exploring how AI is reshaping the entire art world as we know it.
Sounds like we're just getting started. Buckle up.
Okay, so we've just explored this whole agreement between Matthew and MCC, but where does this leave us with the bigger picture? The future of art itself. Is AI going to revolutionize creativity, or are we heading towards some dystopian art world where algorithms replace human artists?
Well, I can see why some folks are worried about that. I mean, some critics are already saying that AI art lacks that human touch, that emotional depth, that spark of originality that you just don't get from an algorithm.
I get that. There's definitely something special about art that comes from human experience, those raw emotions and unique perspectives that only a human can bring.
For sure. But I think it's important to remember that AI tools are, at their core, just that, tools. They're extensions of human creativity, not replacements for it. It's all about how we use them.
So instead of fearing AI, what if artists actually embraced it as a new way to express themselves?
Yeah, exactly. Imagine using AI to generate different variations of a theme or explore totally new visual styles, or even just to help overcome creative blocks.
So we could see AI as a collaborator, a partner in the creative process.
Exactly. Think about the possibilities if artists could team up with AI to push those creative boundaries, to create things that wouldn't be possible with human skills alone.
Now that's exciting. But even if artists do embrace AI, what about the legal side of things? Is copyright law even equipped to handle this? I mean, it's built on this whole concept of human authorship.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question. Traditional copyright law just wasn't designed to deal with situations where AI plays a significant role.
It's like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. You've got these centuries-old laws trying to make sense of a technology that's changing faster than ever.
It really is, and that's why we're in this gray area, legally speaking, where no one's quite sure who owns the copyright when AI is involved. Is it the person who created the AI, the one who input the prompts, the company that owns the AI platform? It gets complicated fast.
Yeah, it's a total copyright conundrum. So many potential claimants.
Right, and that's why agreements like the one we talked about with Matthew and MCC are so important. They're starting to set some ground rules to create a framework for how we navigate this new landscape.
So they're kind of like pioneers, paving the way for others to follow.
Exactly. As more and more artists start using AI, we're going to see more contracts and legal frameworks pop up to address these questions of ownership. And who knows, maybe someday we'll even have specific laws that deal with AI-generated art.
It does feel like we're witnessing the birth of a whole new legal area, doesn't it? And speaking of setting precedents, do you think these matrix code systems are the future of proving ownership in the digital world? They seem pretty solid, but can they really scale up? Can they keep up with the millions of digital files being created every day?
It's definitely a step in the right direction. Imagine a world where every digital creation, whether it's art, music, a book, whatever, has its own unique matrix code, like a digital birth certificate.
A global registry of digital creations. That would be a game changer. Think about how it could combat things like art forgery or piracy.
Absolutely. And as the lines between the physical and digital worlds get blurrier and blurrier, this kind of system will become even more crucial. We need ways to prove ownership in a world where digital copies are practically indistinguishable from the original.
It's not just about pretty pictures anymore, is it? This is about the very foundations of ownership in a digital age.
It really is. It's a massive paradigm shift, and it's happening right now.
So what can we do? I mean, I'm not an artist or a lawyer, but I'm definitely interested in this. How can the average person contribute to a more transparent and equitable digital future?
That's a great question, and I think it starts with awareness. Be mindful of the platforms you're using, whether you're creating or just consuming digital art. Read those terms of service, understand who owns the copyright.
So knowledge is power.
Always. The more we understand how these systems work, the better we'll be able to navigate them and make informed decisions. And if you are creating AI art, do your research. Check out options like MCC's matrix code, compare different services, and make smart choices about how you protect your work.
Solid advice. But there's one thing that still kind of bugs me. That whole argument that AI art lacks that human touch, that emotional depth that makes art so powerful. Can an algorithm really replicate that?
It's a big question, and it really gets to the heart of what we consider art in the first place. Does it have to be solely a product of the human mind? Or can a machine working with a human also create something beautiful and meaningful?
So maybe it's not about AI replacing human artists, but about redefining what it means to be creative.
Exactly. It's a new era of collaboration where human and artificial intelligence can work together to create something truly unique.
I'm starting to feel a lot more optimistic about the future of art now. This isn't about fear or replacement. It's about evolution, adaptation, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And that evolution is happening right now. We're at the forefront of a creative revolution, and it's up to all of us to participate in shaping the future of art in this age of AI.
Well, we started this deep dive with a single contract about, was it a mystical tiger?
That's right, a mythical tiger.
And we ended up talking about the entire future of art. It's really kind of mind-blowing to think how AI is changing, well, everything, Not just how art is made, but like our whole idea of what it means to be an artist and who owns what.
It's been a journey for sure. I mean, we went from looking at the fine print of a contract to talking about the philosophy of art.
So as we wrap things up here, what are the big takeaways? What do we want our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
Well, I think the main thing is that AI art, it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay.
And it's going to keep shaking things up, especially when it comes to things like copyright and, the whole definition of an artist.
Exactly. I mean, our current copyright laws are having a hard time keeping up with all this new technology. We're seeing new models like that matrix code system popping up, but it's still early days.
It really does feel like we're in uncharted territory here, trying to figure out this future that's unfolding right in front of us.
And that's what makes it so exciting. We're part of something totally new.
Yeah, it can be a little daunting, but it's also pretty inspiring, right? I mean, we're not just watching this happen, we're shaping it.
Exactly. And that's why these conversations are so important. We need to talk about these challenges, explore different viewpoints. We need to think critically about AI and its impact on art and, make sure we're creating a system that's fair for everyone, humans and machines.
So what's the one big question we should leave our listeners with today? Something to really make them think.
Okay, how about this? If you could create anything at all, using AI, what would it be? What kind of art, music, book, even an invention? What would you bring to life?
Wow, that's a great question. It really makes you think outside the box, imagine all the possibilities.
And once you've thought about what you'd create, ask yourself, how would you protect it? How would you make sure your creation is recognized and valued in a world that's still figuring out this whole AI thing?
Those are some great questions to ponder. It reminds us that we all have a role to play in shaping the future of art and technology. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We've had a blast exploring the world of art, AI, and copyright with you.
And remember, this is just the beginning. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep creating.